Haunted Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Welcome back, everyone. This is the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell. Just like to send out a hello to my segment producer in Sydney, Nova Scotia, the one and only Amanda Curran. Hey, Amanda, thanks very much for a great job, as usual. This hour, X Zone Nation, we're traveling to Ireland. We're not going to visit leprechauns. We're not going to see the wee folk. Well, not that I know of. We're going to be speaking to our good guest this hour. Her name is SHARON CLARKE. And Sharon, welcome to the X Zone. How are things in the Emerald Isle?
Hi, Rob. Things are very quiet. I think the world's still sleeping. It's early. And it feels like nobody's up yet.
Well, I've got to tell you something. Many, many people around the world are listening to you right now.
So, hey, world.
Hey, world. Sharon, tell us a little bit about yourself and what brought you into doing the work in the paranormal that you do.
Okay. Well, I suppose, as like with everybody, you're drawn to the paranormal. I think if you're genuine about it, it doesn't just become a fad. So when I was like a younger person, I was always fascinated with the idea of, sort of things in between the black and white of life. The unanswered questions. And I grew up, with tales of people seeing apparitions, and this, was a normal part of life, our culture, that ghosts were acceptable. So I wanted to find out, what do they mean? What were they saying? And the thought then sort of went to the back burner because I went to university, and it came to the forefront again because I was studying like anthropology and archaeology. So a lot of the elements of those sciences do incorporate cultures, like the religious aspect, the demons, the gods. So I was thinking, it's a bit weird. Parapsychology isn't an acclaimed science because it's in there with all the big sciences,
Right.
So that fascinated me more. I thought, wow, this idea of an afterlife or what happens dates back to, the beginning of mankind. So that field that it's like petrol being added to a fire every time I studied something. So I then went on to study psychiatric nursing, which gave me sort of an insight into the human brain, and gave me an insight also into hallucinations, schizophrenia, and maybe I thought to myself, how do we know sometimes that maybe some of these cases are not genuine, that the people aren't actually, we know that the people believe they're seeing these things or experiencing these things, but who are we to say that, they're cut and dried? Because there are cases that have big, huge question marks as to what is exactly going on with these guys, And I came from a big science background, so I was a skeptic, but an open-minded skeptic, which meant, I wasn't going to just dismiss an entire, going back to the beginning of time, that there's something that happens in the afterlife or happens in this life, because there's a lot of weird stuff that goes on in this life. So for my dissertation, I decided I would do a study into possession and have a look at that, because the idea of these things that could partially take over humans, and maybe humans aren't aware of this, that fascinated me. So I looked at that for a year. And trust me, after a year of obtaining tapes and footage and interviews, I started to become very much
a believer.
I believe, yeah, I did. I sort of was like, this is not normal. This is not rationalized by science. There's, now we're talking maybe 1%, but that 1% means a lot.
Sharon,
Sharon,
know I have to take a 2-minute commercial break. Please stand by. While we're gone off during the break, please do not play with any leprechauns. And if you do, If you do, we'll have to share the pot of gold on the other side of the rainbow.
Oh, I hate that stereotype.
Sharon Clarke's our very special guest of this hour, Exo Nation. And Sharon and I will be back on the other side of this 2-minute break here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in, oh my gosh, Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. We'll be back. Don't go away. And like I said, Exo Nation, if you find a pot of gold during the show, we split it. Welcome back, everyone. This is the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell. Sharon Clarke is our special guest. Her website is spookisles.com, and we're speaking to Sharon at this ungodly time in Ireland from her home. And I understand. How many children do you have? I'm sorry?
The dramatic pause.
Yeah.
I have 8.
God bless you.
Thank you very much.
God bless you. I've got 6, so I know exactly what you're going through.
Yay. Go you.
Let me ask you, when people think of Ireland, you know, they think of the green, the shamrock, they think of St. Patrick, and then, of course, you've got the Blarney Stone and the leprechaun.
No. Oh, my God. See, people have this idea. It's like, you know, that film Minions?
Mm-hmm.
That were sort of all running around with these little men with shillelaghs, you know, sort of doing Irish dancing. And do you know what? We hate it. We really, really hate it. And
Why?
we've decided that because we can't get these guys to come and curse all you guys who call us out on stereotypes. You see, when we think of Canadians, we think that you guys are sort of like hanging around on lakes with moose jumping about. So,
Well, that's true.
and these large animals just stopping roadways, and no, I'm only joking.
They do.
You see, there's so much, you know, when you delve into the whole Irish background, you know, you get the Morrigan, you get the Banshee. There's so much more interesting stuff than leprechauns, you know, because leprechauns are nasty little sort of creatures in history that, you know, they don't share and they won't give you their gold no matter what. So,
You know, I believe in banshees. I really do, because I married one.
Oh my God. And she had 6 kids with you?
What can I say? I'm a nice guy, plus I'm Irish.
Oh, well, no, I do love all the legends of Ireland.
Yeah.
You know, it's steeped in history and culture.
It
It's
is.
great.
Well, so where did the lovable leprechaun come from? Was this a marketing ploy?
It's just, God, I don't know, because there's no real starting point, you know, where somebody went, you know what, you know, here's what we're going to do. We're going to target audiences around the world and make a shitload of money on leprechauns. They're going to love it. You know, they're going to be small, wear big hats. They're going to be green. No, I think it's a myth. It's a myth and legend that you can't date. It sort of goes back with the Banshee. It's sort of, it's like maybe because we have so many bad guys. Well, not bad guys because we like them, but we have so many dark things going on in Ireland that we have to lighten it up a wee bit, you know, and throw in the leprechaun. And I'm trying to think of other nice legends of Ireland.
Oh, I know one.
Go!
Guinness, and Guinness.
That's not a legend. That's real.
Oh, I know, and I enjoy it. I truly enjoy it.
Better, Rob? It tastes better in Ireland.
They do? Oh, there, it sounds like somebody's pouring some Guinness in the background. Was that you, Craig? Thank you.
It's never too early for Guinness.
It's true. It's true. What about the legend of St. Patrick? Is that real? Where he got rid of all the snakes in Ireland?
No. Snakes are symbolic. You know, it's like the Bible. They're all symbolisms of, you know, what mankind, inverted commas, represented evil. You know, the snake being the symbol of evil. So, you know, in the Bible, you know, the snake was the bad dude. He was, you know, oh, here, have the apple, you know. So, like, I've never had a snake offer me an apple, I have to say. Um, but yeah, so the same applied here. We used that whole. God, you're gonna get a load of Christians ringing in, going, see that evil satanic guest, Rob. Don't
Oh,
have her
no.
back.
No, you know what? I'm a realist.
You have to be a realist
Exactly.
because, my God, snakes in Ireland. Yes, of course, there would have been snakes, but we don't like them. We got together as a nation.
Yeah.
We thought, here, these things are nasty. They look bad. They scare the crap out of us. They're not happening. No, joking aside, snakes were a symbol of evil. We had this guy, St. Patrick, who
Right.
came over, and we were a nice pagan Celtic country, lighting our fires, celebrating our pagan Celtic, sort of cycles round the year.
Uh-huh.
And this guy came over under whatever rule and decided, you know what, you guys are, a nasty bunch of pagans. You really need to get with this Christian program. So when he talked about when documentation and all those kind of things talked about driving the snakes out of Ireland, they meant it was driving the evil pagans and druids out and bringing in the idea of Christianity. But then there was this whole thing that there was actually two St. Patricks. There's two guys working undercover with this whole operation. It was co-op. So that there was Patricus and there's Patrick, and it all got very confusing because some of the dates didn't match. But we have, what we never lost here was our whole identity of, the Druids, the Celts, the whole, like we had Lunasta yesterday,
Right.
which celebrates the harvest. It celebrates the beginning of the new cycle of going into, it would have been the Celtic official start of autumn, and then which leads into Samhain, which is Halloween. Now, everybody stole Halloween. We still have Halloween. And then we have also Easter, which is the Celtic festival of Easter.
Right.
So Christians still have that. And that's why we have the Easter, the Easter bunny, the eggs, and all those. Those are representations of the god.
Let's face it, what's really happening out there, the reason why we have Halloween and why we have Easter is because the Dental Association is behind those two holidays because we give kids candy, and kids with candy means cavities. Cavities mean dentists.
That's not very paranormal, but yeah.
Well, like I said, I'm a realist.
You are. But the fact is, yes, he brought in the Christianity, and
Right.
my goodness, we're swept by Christianity here. But they didn't take away completely the Irish identity of, our old ancient ways. And I think that's nice because we still have the sites here, you can go visit, and we still have, that kind of Irish cultural Celtic stamp still within us even to this day, which I think's nice because it means you've never truly wiped out a culture. It's still running through the blood of the Celts. So,
what is your focus of study or your focus of expertise when it comes to the paranormal?
Well, as I say, once I finished the whole district, I sort of was into the whole possession and mental health side of things. So after that, I started up my own research group, and I started, looking at places in Northern Ireland in particular, because when you guys come, around the world, when people come to do TV shows or to study, they always focus more sort of on the big places that are famous. Down south, a lot of, the shows had gone to, the Hellfire Club, places, that are well known. So I thought, let's start looking at Northern Ireland, up at the top end of Ireland, where it's not as, focused upon in the media or in books and things like that. So I went round and, I was conducting investigations in different places in my own sort of realm. And my goodness, the stuff I found, the experiences I had were immense. There's like, wow, I had experiences. I know, I've had, the way you sort of could go through the paranormal. I have a friend who works in the, in the paranormal. He's an expert, very, very, and an author, and he's never had an experience, but it doesn't mean he doesn't believe. And when I had experiences, it was frightening at first. I thought, what the hell is, I was in this place,
Right.
and I'm watching, a pen container with pencils and pens in it vibrate, and they're shaking, and there's no scientific rational explanation, and you're thinking, what is causing that? And and the feeling in the room is really oppressive, and it's like, right, okay, there's definitely something supernatural happening here. So it led me then, the whole fascination with teams and investigations is just ramped up within the last few years, that everybody's at it. So I wanted to sort of get to the source of that, what drives people in their head to want to do this kind of thing, to sort of, go out and poke around in the dark and try and communicate with God knows what. And so that's why I wrote a book, and I focused it on my own. Most of it is focused on Northern Ireland and the teams in Northern Ireland and the thinking behind Northern Ireland, and also my expertise. I don't think any of us are experts, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean it in the sense that we really have ideas, and we really have theories, and we have experiences, and we have personal beliefs, but none of us actually know for sure what is out there, and none of us actually know what we're communicating with most of the time. So for people to sort of go, yeah, we went on an investigation, and we were talking to, say Rob's Auntie Jean, and she was lovely, and she told us, and you're like, whoa, back up. How do you know you were talking to that person? Because we got it through an SB7, or we got it through an Ouija board. I don't use those, but many teams do.
Sure they do, yeah.
They take it just for granted that the first answer they get, that's who they're talking to, and so the investigation continues that way. So I wanted to highlight the dangers of that this is not a game, that there is definitely, without a doubt, something out there, and there's something out there besides your residual energies, beside your ghosts. There's something out there that's just waiting and watching for us as humans to let it in. And I do believe that, it's not like Hollywood. There's not like spinning heads or people, shouting, I can't say it on air, but, you think of The Exorcist, and you think of all these like Hollywood movies. No, I think there's people definitely walking around, many people who are partially influenced by a supernatural form of evil.
But how?
And it can be very subtle.
Is it possible that the evil that these people are experiencing are the manifestation of their own evil side, the dark side, and this is what they're actually experiencing? Yes,
of course, we have dark and we have light within us, and I do believe that's a constant battle for everybody from the day you're born. You know what's right from wrong, but do you always do what's right from wrong? No, of course we don't. There's times we lie, there's times we cheat, but I think what they do, they can influence it, certain people to really emphasize on the dark side, to succumb to that dark side, to really, just give in to maybe addictions, give in to abusing people. It really like lures them in. Now, I'm not saying, oh my God, we're all run around and possessed, but there's times humans leave themselves wide open to the dark. We sound like Star Wars now, but they leave themselves open to the dark side, and they willingly let it in, and then they relish it, and they, think this is great for a while, and they don't realize what's happening. And really, these beings are chaos. These beings are evil, and they just want to destroy humans. And I was like, I'm saying this now, and if you went back so many years, I'd be saying, Sharon, what are you actually saying or believing here? But I do, and I'm standing by that because I've witnessed houses that have been affected, families that are just normal families, nothing sensational, it's not like Hollywood, but just normal families who've been in touch and said, this has happened, and, what can you help me? And, you go out and you see and experience the fear. And most times you can reassure the family, like that, it's great when you can just say, look, this is just something very simple, and you can live in your house comfortably. There's nothing going on. But sometimes there's been one or two cases where I've went out, and it's been hardcore, where something's in the house and it's tormenting the children, and it's subtle to start with, and then it builds up on the energy of fear, and it's it's dangerous. The whole arena of the paranormal is so widespread when you're talking about ghosts, spirits, demons, blah, 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 that you're not talking about labeling them. You're not talking about God. You're not talking about the devil. You're not, we're just talking about an overall realm of
Yeah.
negative, positive energy. And
well, right now I have to talk about going to a commercial break with the news
Yeah.
at the bottom of the hour. Sharon Clarke is our very special guest, X-Zone Nation, all the way from Ireland tonight. Her website is spookisles.com, and we'll be back on the other side of this break as we continue here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center in downtown Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away. Welcome back, everyone. My guest this hour is Sharon Clarke. And before we get back to Sharon, here's the program lineup from the X-Zone Vault for starting at 2 o'clock. From, 2 until 3, it's Lieutenant General Jerry Boykin. He's going to be talking about ISIS, terrorism, Islam, and Israel. From 3 until 4, Charlotte Koss is going to be talking about California Haunts Paranormal Investigation. From 4 until 5, Francine Vale talking about angels and extraterrestrial healings. And in hour number 4, from 4 until 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 is going to be Ryan Straub talking about spiritual investigations. That's still to come tonight from 2 until 6 here on the X-Zone with yours truly, Rob McConnell. It is the best of. These are shows that we brought out of the X-Zone Vault just for you, the members of the X-Zone Nation, and to all our listening audience on TalkStream Live. Sharon Clarke is our guest. And Sharon, have you ever encountered an attachment? And could you tell our listening audience what an attachment in paranormal terms is?
Sure. Honestly, yes. I think anyone who is out being very active in the paranormal field would be a liar if they didn't say they haven't encountered or experienced some form of attachment, because you do this so often and you do it for so many years that there are times you let your guard down and you take it sort of, you go in with a bit of a blasé attitude. I've done it, we've all done it. It's nothing to do with ego, it's to do with just being in a sort of a comfortable kind of, nothing's going to go wrong, or you forget, So I think, you see, they actually wanted to conduct a lot of an experiment in the future about attachments and to prove that most paranormal researchers have some form or have had some form of attachment. But with me, there was 2 cases. I don't know if this is, I wouldn't know if this is deemed, the first one I don't know if it's an attachment as such, but I had gone to a house case, and at the time I just did the run through and the interviews and the research behind it, because I was pregnant at the time, so I wasn't going to then go on to get involved in any sort of exorcisms or clearances or anything like that. I just built the ground study for the next people coming in to do the hardcore work, But when I was there, it was pretty intense, and there was a lot of stuff went on in the house. And I went home and I talked to the guy who was going in to work on it. I said I would keep in touch via phone, and it was only about 40 miles up the road, and I said I'd keep in touch and he could let me know progress. If he was going to stay in the house and do his thing, and his partner was going to be there, and it was hardcore. So I was at home and I was going to go to sleep, and this thing appeared in my room, and I was like, what? I sat up, I was like, what? It's like catching something out of your eye. And then it suddenly was not just caught out of my eye, it was like this thing was standing in my bedroom, and I closed my eyes and I was like, oh God, what's this? And when I closed my eyes, I could still see it. And then instead of, the fear taking over, I became really angry. I thought, how dare you come into my house? I've never had anything in my home. I have kids. I never bring anything home. I was just so angry. So I sat up and I was, like really defiant, get the hell out of my house, and really sort of like, this is not happening. You do not have power to be here. You were never asked to be here, So, and it went away and everything was fine. But I got in touch, and at that particular moment, he had said that he was getting very rough with this whole house clearance at the time. So it shows that these things can be anywhere, that time does not matter to them. That time's a man-made concept. So this thing, it knew that I had instigated and helped in this whole getting rid of it thing. But the attachment thing more so was I had went to a place last year and very blasé about it. It's just like, yeah, we'll go in here, we'll have a look, we'll do this, we'll take a few photos, get a few audio, take a few, and I really didn't think of, where we were or what we, the connotations of who had suffered there. And, usually I do take all that in, and I didn't. And after that, things sort of were going wrong. Like for me, I had driven past the same place, and it could have been a coincidence, but the car completely died on me outside of it. And then it was just one thing after another. I was angry. It was like I wasn't having a good time, and I had to see somebody about that. And it taught me a valued lesson that, again, we don't know what we're messing with. We need to keep our egos in check. We should always just take this as a very serious game it's not a game, but a serious arena that we're in. It's not just research. It's like, when you're researching humans in the medical field or in an anthropology, in an anthropological, when you're looking at cultures and things like that, at human beings, what you're dealing with. This is sort of a research program that I'm on, that I have no idea at times what is causing the effect or the reaction. So, it does get, nobody can say in the paranormal that it's not scary, because at times it's very, very scary, and it's fascinating, and it's like a drug that once you're in, you're very much addicted to it, because you want to keep searching for answers, and you want to keep looking. So yeah, unfortunately though, there's been times where I've seen people with carrying around a lot of anger, and there's been rows among people, there's been divorces, and I'm often wonder, would these things have happened if they'd stayed away, or maybe, done things a wee bit differently instead of meddling in energies and taking it home and, letting it in. Because they always say, when I was working in nursing and things like that, bad things happen at work, people die, or, tragedies happen, but you have to separate. You have to come home and leave your work behind. And it's the same, in the paranormal. You cannot bring anything home, because it's even more dangerous, because you can't fight what you don't know sometimes. So, yeah, I've been down that road, and it's a lesson. It's a very, very hard lesson to learn.
Tell me, Sharon, do you think that women are being treated equally when it comes to the field of investigation of the paranormal?
In some respects, well, as an author now of writing about the paranormal, I have had more respect given to me, because people have taken the time to read what I have to say, if that makes sense, Rob. And they sort of think, right, okay, respect you. You've been in, you've done this, we've given you. But before that, no, I don't think they do. I think, unfortunately, I think there's been a lot of females on television that have given the field a very bad name. I'm not going to mention names, but there's TV shows over in the UK that have females, who are investigators, and they go in and they scream and they carry on and they run, and oh my God, what are you doing? Why are you even investigating then? Because women are a brave species, and I'm not, God, I stay away from all that feminist crap and all that. Now you're going to get the feminists ringing in going, see her. But I don't like getting involved in politics and feminism and all that unless I want to do something actually constructive to back up my points, if that makes sense, because we're all armchair politicians, we're all armchair feminists. So unless you're actually doing something to back up your statements, shut the hell up, So And it's easy to sit behind a computer and, troll and write stuff and I'm this and I'm that, but you're not actually doing anything except starting arguments on the internet. So shut up. So I thought, well, it's true.
I
Everybody,
agree with you. I agree with you.
everybody is such a, we hate this, we hate that. Well, do something about it. Shut up and get off the internet. So I
Exactly.
got off my ass. I worked my ass off on my own to promote myself and my work in the paranormal. I didn't get help. I didn't, so I thought, I'll do something about it. I'll represent women and show that we're not all going, oh my God, what was that noise? And that's what's been represented on television in the UK. And it's sad and it's fake and it's bullshit, right? Because half the time it's just for spooks, it's for TV ratings. And how the hell, Rob, is the field of parapsychology going to advance when we have that on telly? Because it's not working. It's not representing humans, not even women. It's not representing humans as being any good at investigating or, giving a good side of this that is credible. That's the word we need to focus on when we're, putting books out there, putting TV shows out there, is credibility. How many of the, I'm not being snobbish or academic, but how many come from a background of knowledge or reading? They're coming from a background of acting. They're coming from a background of, hey, I look good in a tight top t-shirt. And it's just, it's turning the wrong people, it's getting the wrong people involved and the right people out.
Yeah, I agree with you. In fact, all of these TV shows that call themselves reality are anything but reality. But the truth of the matter, though, is, Sharon, that networks will not pick up a show that doesn't have all the hype, doesn't have all the idiocy that goes into these so-called shows. There are so many channels that programmers are scrambling to get anything they can, and the more ridiculous it is, the more people want to watch it. Why? It just...
Because people are idiots. That's why. Because they think it's like the movies. They think it's, you're going in and throwing holy water around and there's, pictures going to fly off the walls and there's going to be, devil shouting voices at you. And, the realism is you're sitting in a room for 5 hours and you maybe catch one EVP every 6 months. That's the reality. So what sort of TV show is going to show that? No, it's boring because that's the thing. But what would be good or what would be actually great is if you had TV shows that were focused. I think it may come into light that eventually these splinter groups that are into the parapsychology and the science of it are going to become more popular because people don't, people are switching off now. They've had so many years off, whoa, and oh my God, what was that, dude? And they've had so many years of all that they liked it and it was enjoyable for so long, but now they want to actually go, right, okay, show me something credible, show me something that goes along with science, that goes along with something credible, that you can tell me that there is an afterlife, that you can give me some reassurance that this thing isn't evil or bad, or, people look for answers. But then, I don't know, I despair because you look at what goes on around the world, and it takes one person to stand up and start talking, and thousands will listen, Rob, and it may be the biggest load of nonsense in the world that they're talking. But when you get thousands on board that's listening to one person and that they're believing that, then there's where the scare comes in, because it shows that the world is still ready to believe and be manipulated by like one individual, and it can happen. I'm not mentioning any names, hello America and your politicians, but you really, it's scary in a grand global scale that we are going down the path of just taken for granted what we're told just by one sentence. You really need to delve deeper and ask questions. I was brought up to question everything, and nowadays a lot of people aren't questioning things. They're just going, right, okay, he said that, she said that, that's right, we'll go with that. And look at the state of the world.
Sure. But don't you know that if it's on the internet, it's true?
Yeah, I shouldn't argue against the God of internet. I'm gonna be struck down by Bill Gates, or because I should never question the internet because it's right. I'm wrong, And, we live, by the gods and goddesses of memes and viral videos and YouTube. And it's just, my head is blown by what goes around. There's scarily, there was a story over here where somebody had put out that this guy had been going around taking pictures of children, and it was a manhunt was on, Rob, and it turned out this guy got a kicking. He was very badly hurt, and it turns out that people thought, oh, we did well, we were vigilantes because of the internet and the info, and somebody had posted that this had happened, and we did just as well. It turns out this guy was, had learning disabilities and special needs, and he was an innocent.
Oh, for God's sake.
Yeah, so everybody just took for hearsay that this was, some sort of pervert that was taking pictures of their kids. Nobody questioned or asked or did the research. They went out and they beat the shit out of this guy, this poor kid.
Listen, speaking about perverts, my producer just told me we've got to take our final break for this hour. So,
yeah.
X-Zone Nation, stand by. This is the X-Zone. I am Rob McConnell. Sharon Clarke is our guest, www.spookiles.com. We'll both be back on the other side of this break as we wrap up tonight here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center all the way in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Welcome back, everyone. I'd like to take this opportunity of thanking all our guests tonight. We start off the show with, we started off the show with Darren Evans and Rose Ellen Guiley. Hour number 2, we had Christopher Garreton. And this hour, our guest is, Sharon Clarke. Her website is www.spookiles.com. And Sharon, thank you so much for getting up with us on early holy morning hour in Ireland.
It's okay. See, the website, I think you may have old info on me. Can I just update that?
Oh, please do.
The website is in construction because I have added new elements of what we're going to be doing in the future, but you can find me on Pacem, P-A-C-E-M, Pacem Paranormal Research Team on Facebook at the minute. Voice in the Dark is the name of my book, which is, you can go on Facebook and check out some of the people who are in there. There's some really cool paranormal people involved in that from all around the world. You can get me on Twitter at SHARON CLARKE 75. And yeah, so once the website, if you keep checking in on Voice in the Dark on Facebook or Pacem, the website will be up and running, but there's going to be a lot of exciting projects coming up in the future. So I wanted to revamp the whole web, and so we'll have new things that you can click on and be involved in, because I work alone as in research, so I get a lot of people involved that might not get the chance normally but have genuine interest. So keep an eye out, guys, because there's a lot of new scientific focused ideas coming. So yeah, let's try and move forward with the parapsychology element, and let's leave the sensationalism behind.
I want to thank you so much for joining us. It's been a great pleasure talking to you. I would
Rob.
love to have you back on, because we still have so many topics that I haven't had the opportunity of speaking to you about. So please, don't be a stranger. Make the X-Zone here your second home.
Yeah, love to.
Thank you so much. Take care of yourself, and don't forget our deal. If you get the leprechaun, you split with me. If I get the leprechaun, I split with you.
I will send that bugger to curse the living shit out of you, Rob.
Take care of yourself, my dear friend.
Have a nice evening,
You
Rob.
too, dear. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.
All right, X-Zone Nation, there we go. I'm going to get cursed by the leprechauns. All right, bring it on, little guys. I'm 6'6", and I am the world's tallest leprechaun. Well, that's it for tonight, everyone. I'll be back tomorrow night as once again we cross the time-space continuum to this place that I call the X-Zone. So from everyone here, Craig, my producer, right here across the glass, Amanda in Sydney, Nova Scotia, yours truly, Rob McConnell, my wife and senior executive producer, the one and only Laura Rogers. I just want you to do one thing, X-Zone Nation. Always remember to keep your eyes to the sky and your heart to the light. Good night, everyone.
You're listening to the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. Radio's authority on the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology. Celebrating 25 years of broadcasting. Broadcasting around the world and to the great beyond.